We have had a lot of great athletes from Carleton County, New Brunswick, but this guy stands out not only because the amount of Hall of Fames he is in and been recognized by. He basically changed the way the game was played for his generation because of his dedication over a number of seasons. Played in 4 Grey Cups, won 2. Member of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, the New Brunswick Sports Hall of Fame, the Canadian Sports Hall of Fame, the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame, and an all-star, team leader, role model. Everybody that talked about this guy said probably, again, one of the greatest players of the 1930s and 40s in the CFL. So today we're going to be talking about a native of Hartland, New Brunswick, who grew up in Woodstock, Andy Thomey Sr. Now, the very first time Andrew Thomey Sr. attended a rugby football game, according to legend, he ended up being one of the participants. From his humble beginnings, he would go on to star in the Interprovincial Rugby Football Union, or IPRFU. Now, his background, born in Hartland, grew up in the Woodstock region. Now, he was again a local prodigy in rugby, and after attending Mount Allison Academy, he moved to Ottawa to accept a job in the Federal Civil Service. He played 2 years with the Ottawa Junior Rangers of the QFRU in 31 and 32 before joining the Ottawa Rough Riders in 1933, where he was a freshman sensation. Now, according to published reports, either he ran back 1 touchdown for 15 yards against Montreal, or 120 yards on a recovered fumble against Toronto. Either way, he was a speed demon, a speed merchant, as we say. He continued his high level of play for a number of seasons. In 1940, scored 4 touchdowns in the league, winning the Jeff Russell Trophy as the league's outstanding player. His career was interrupted by the war when he enlisted with the Army, but he resumed play in 1945 with Toronto before returning for 2 final years with the Rough Riders before retiring at the age of 35 in 1947. In all, he played 11 seasons with the Rough Riders and 1 with the Argos. He won 2 East Big Four All-Stars as a halfback in 1936 and as a flying wing in 1940. Again, he played on 2 Grey Cup winners in 1940 and 1945 when the Rough Riders were in their golden heyday. He was eventually inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in 1989 and the Canada Sports Hall of Fame in 1976. Now, his son, Andy Thomey Jr., who passed away in 2004, was also elected to the Canadian Ski Hall of Fame in 1990. Now, going over some of the history of what Ottawa held. Now, with the 6 contests with the Argos, again, Ottawa missed them, and he also including the Grey Cup game, which was the last national championship played by only Canadian players. Now, the New Brunswick Sports Hall of Fame called him there a few years ago, and the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame due to his, again, tremendous results. Now, he played again in the Grey Cup in 36, 39, 40, and 45 as part of that Ottawa getaway in Wakefield, Quebec on April 23rd, 1972 at age 60. But obviously, if he would have lived on a few more years, he probably would have been a big participant in coaching either in Ontario or New Brunswick or Quebec, because that's how good he was. Now, he also worked at the statistics, which of course had a lot of interest at the time because it was the vital statistics, of all of Canada, where he got in with the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, very strong class, and that was of course the class that drew a lot of attention because Jim Taylor and Pat Morrison also got in that year, as well as Brian Hall, Dave Thielen, Ed Ernest, Jerry Keelan, Gary G. Slocum, and Norm Marshall. Again, but lucky to get into 4 figures for the Metro Hartland region, as I call it. But I heard that Thomey had a lot of moves, and you look at the great running backs offensive players like him, like George Reed and Johnny Rogers and Neil Lumsden, players like that. He was beloved all over Canada, but Ottawa took him to heart, ladies and gentlemen. And used to call him, this is kind of weird, I did some research on this, they call him Mr. It. That was a nickname for a while. There was an article published November 1940 that talked about he was the it guy, which means whatever it was that you needed to score or whatever, he was that guy. So again, the pride of Hartland, pride of Woodstock, pride of Carleton County, passed away again way too soon. 60 is a young age, even back then in the 70s. But I'm just saying, if you wake up and watch the CFL come back in 2021, which is returning after COVID, players like Andy Tommy helped build the league to great prominence, especially in the 1940s when it was very comparable to the NFL. And this was before the big influx of American and import players. Again, he was part of an area where it was all Canadian. And the second level of the CFL, or the second generation, happened right after, and he helped build that glory, what I call the golden era of the CFL before the Silver Age. Thanks for listening. Bye.